Have you ever noticed something strange? The more you explain yourself, the less people seem to react to you. Think about it. You tell someone why you made a certain decision. Then you add another reason, and another, hoping they'll finally understand. But instead of looking convinced, they start questioning you even more. Why? Because every extra explanation sounds less like confidence and more like you're asking for permission to live your own life. And that's a dangerous habit. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden psychology behind why constantly explaining yourself slowly destroys your confidence, lowers your value in other people's eyes, and traps you in a cycle where you start living to satisfy everyone except yourself. By the end of this video, you may never feel the need to justify your choices again. Let's begin. From the moment we're children, we're trained to explain everything. Why didn't you finish your homework? Why are you late? Why did you make that decision? Little by little, we learn that every action needs a defense. So we grow up believing something dangerous, that if people don't understand us, we owe them an explanation. But here's the truth. Not everyone is asking because they genuinely care. Some people ask because they want control. Others ask because they enjoy making you doubt yourself. And some simply can't accept the fact that your life doesn't need their approval. The moment you start explaining every decision, you're silently handing over your power, because now, your peace depends on whether they agree. Imagine two people. The first one says, "I'm leaving this job because it's the right decision for me." That's it. No long speech, no apology, no defense. The second person says, "Well, I've been thinking about it for months. My boss isn't that bad, but I'm stressed, and maybe I'm making a mistake, but I feel like I should leave. I hope people understand." Who sounds more confident? The decision is exactly the same, but confidence isn't communicated through words, it's communicated through certainty. Psychologists have long observed that people naturally associate calm, concise communication with confidence. When someone feels the need to defend every choice, listeners often perceive uncertainty, even if the decision itself is perfectly reasonable. The irony? Most people don't question your choices because they're wrong. They question them because your endless explanations make them think you're unsure yourself. Confidence doesn't shout, confidence doesn't argue. Confidence simply exists. Here's something most people never realize. Every unnecessary explanation sends an invisible message. "I'm afraid you won't approve." And once people sense that fear, some will begin using it against you. Not because they're evil, but because human beings naturally test uncertain people. If they see you constantly defending yourself, they'll keep pushing. Why? Because you've taught them that your boundaries are negotiable. Think about the people you admire most. Do they explain every decision? Or do they simply make it and move forward? The strongest people aren't rude. They're not arrogant. They're simply comfortable with being misunderstood because they know something most people never learn. You can explain yourself perfectly, and the wrong person will still misunderstand you. So why waste your energy trying to convince someone who's already decided not to understand? Your time, your peace, your confidence, they're too valuable for that. And here's where the trap becomes even more dangerous. Once you start explaining yourself to everyone, it becomes an addiction. You explain why you're busy, you explain why you said no, you explain why you changed, you explain why you stopped talking to certain people. Until one day, you realize you've spent more time defending your life than actually living it. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't reward the person who explains the most. It rewards the person who believes in themselves the most. There was a young man who spent years trying to make everyone understand him. When he changed careers, he explained. When he stopped talking to toxic friends, he explained. When he said no to things that drained his energy, he explained. At first, he thought he was being respectful. But over time, he noticed something. No matter how carefully he explained, someone always had another question, another opinion, another reason why he was wrong. It never ended. One day, something changed. Instead of writing a long message, he simply said, "This is what's best for me." Nothing more. No paragraph, no apology, no defense. And something unexpected happened. The people who truly respected him accepted it immediately. The people who only wanted control got angry. That's when he realized the explanation was never the problem. The audience was. Some people don't ask questions because they want answers. They ask questions because they want access to your confidence. They want to know if they can make you doubt yourself. And every extra sentence tells them, keep pushing. But silence tells a different story. It says, I've already made my decision. That kind of silence is powerful, not because it's loud, but because it doesn't need permission. Here's something worth remembering. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. They haven't lived your life. They haven't carried your fears. They haven't stayed awake thinking about the decisions you've had to make. So why should they have the final vote? One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing kindness with people-pleasing. Being kind doesn't mean explaining every choice. Being respectful doesn't mean sacrificing your peace. Sometimes, the healthiest sentence you'll ever say is only 4 words long. Because I chose to. And then, move on. No debate, no guilt. No need to convince anyone. Because confidence isn't built by getting everyone's approval. It's built by surviving without it. Remember this. Every minute you spend trying to convince the wrong people is a minute stolen from becoming the person you're meant to be. Protect your energy, protect your peace, protect your decisions, because not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every question deserves your answer. The people who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries. The people who don't would never have been satisfied anyway. So the next time someone demands an explanation, take a breath